Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Mi, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In our story of One Piece, Shanks is a very enigmatic character. Now, we know he's a Yonko, and we know that his relationship with Luffy has been friendly. And it also seems that Shanks has put a lot of hopes in Luffy, hoping that he can become the next king of the pirates. But there may be the possibility that Shanks just wants Luffy to become strong so that he can accomplish a goal that only Luffy could accomplish, since he now possesses the sun god Nika's fruit. So in today's video, we're going to talk about Shanks, the reasons why Shanks is so confident in Luffy's potential, why Shanks may be anxious to meet Luffy again, and what mystery may be hidden behind the sacrifice of his arm. But before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, or even if you've been around for several videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you consider leaving us a like, or even subscribing and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help us out in a bigger way, consider sharing the video or the channel with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So friends, Shanks has known Luffy since he was a little boy. Now we don't exactly know when they met, but it seemed that Shanks loved the spirit of this little boy, and it even reminded him of his former captain Roger, because they both have this strong, indomitable spirit and the desire to become king of the pirates. Even Shanks' crew seemed really fond of Luffy, and really came out to try and save Luffy, who had been captured by Higama and his men, showing that even though Luffy was a child, Shanks and his crew cared a lot about him and wanted to see him grow up to achieve his dreams. Because of this great trust that Shanks had for Luffy, he even gave Luffy his straw hat, which of course was given to him by his former captain, Goldie Roger. And Shanks even called it precious, this last gift from Roger as a farewell, as he does the same for Luffy when he bids him farewell. He gave Luffy his straw hat in the hope and promise that Luffy would become a strong pirate and would become king of the pirates, so that Luffy could give him the hat back once he had become a great man on the sea. So Luffy, for his part, began to defend this straw hat with his life so that no one can take it, because he needed to fulfill this promise of becoming king of the pirates and finally return the hat back to Shanks once he was strong enough. During the Battle of Marineford, even though Shanks was able to get the hat back because Luffy had lost it after he lost consciousness when Ace died, Shanks wasn't ready to accept the hat back, so he asked Buggy to give it back to Luffy. In that same scene, we see Ben Beckman tell Shanks that Luffy would go on to do something great and impactful in the world of the future. And with a big smile on his face, Shanks confirms his friend's words and also says that Luffy reminded him of himself when he was younger. And just as Luffy is looking forward to seeing Shanks, Shanks is also looking forward to the day that he meets Luffy, because for some unknown reason, there seems to be that Luffy is essential, or an essential player in these plans that Shanks has been working on. Because as we've seen so far, Shanks doesn't seem to have the same kind of goals like Kaido or Big Mom or Whitebeard even. Shanks seems to keep to himself with his crew, and they travel around the world and take over territories and celebrate events when Luffy's bounty increases, but otherwise seemingly just want to enjoy the journey and have fun. So it seems, and many in the community have thought about this and speculated, that Shanks has been waiting for something to happen to Luffy in order for him to start this mysterious plan. And this something could be the very awakening of Luffy's fruit. Because as we know, Shanks possessed the fruit of the sun god Nika before Luffy ate it, so he may even know the mysteries that this fruit has. After Luffy even ate the fruit and showed an even larger determination to become king of the pirates like Roger, Shanks saw that Luffy was someone who may be able to awaken the very power inside that fruit and achieve the goal that Shanks had in mind and may have even inherited from his former captain. But initially, remember, we also saw that Shanks was really angry with him, because Shanks may have wanted someone else to eat that fruit, but instead it was Luffy, who at the time was just a child. But seeing Roger's image in Luffy, it kind of caused a change in Shanks, and he started to respect him and considered him someone worthy of becoming king of the pirates and fulfilling a goal that Shanks had in mind. And of course, in that unforgettable moment where Shanks sacrifices his arm to save Luffy's life, because he was being attacked by a Sea King and drowning. He did all this so Luffy wouldn't be eaten, and Shanks gave up his arm to protect him. And this shows that he was putting his trust and his faith on this next generation of pirates that would continue the legacy of his old crew, and that Luffy would indeed become one of those pirates who could change the world. And in scenes since that opening sequence at the very beginning of our story, Shanks has even shown that he's proud of having lost his arm to save Luffy's life. In fact, during a conversation with with Whitebeard, who asked him what happened to his arm. Shanks shows a big smile and says that it was a sacrifice for the new generation and the future. This shows that Shanks doesn't regret anything that he's done. I mean, not even losing the competition to Mihawk to become the greatest swordsman in the world, or even losing the ability of the title of greatest swordsman, he shows no regrets. After Luffy got his first bounty, we saw that Shanks was incredibly happy with this achievement, because this was the beginning of Luffy's adventure. So the hopes that Shanks had placed in Luffy were now starting to show that they were taking effect and starting to work. Even during the burial of Ace and Whitebeard, after that immense battle in Marineford, Shanks shows a concern for Luffy's psychological state, because at that moment, it was something to worry about, because when Shanks arrived in Marineford, he had seen how mad of a state that Luffy was in, and how much trauma that young man was going through. Luffy had been in total shock to see Ace lose his life right in front of him, and it was necessary that Jinbei took him out of the fight so that Akainu wouldn't take his life. So Shanks saw how shaken Luffy was, and how much he was suffering at the loss of his brother. It also seemed that Shanks knew the great pain and suffering that Luffy was going through after that battle in Marineford. And it almost seemed like he said it to the wind so that his words would reach Luffy somehow, saying that he would go through difficult times, and it might make him want to give up his dreams, but he could not give up on the adventure. Even though Shanks saw Luffy in Marineford, this wasn't the time for them to meet. I mean, since Luffy was young and they had made their promise, Shanks was looking forward to the time to see Luffy again. But he also knew that there were still things that needed to happen so that when they did meet, the next part of whatever plan Shanks had could start going into motion. And also, Shanks wanted to meet Luffy where the two could have a real conversation and not just because something tragic had just happened. And even Luffy wants this reunion to happen and be a happy one, because he wants to know all the things that Shanks has done in this intervening time and to show Shanks how much stronger he's gotten. And even though they're friends, Luffy still wants to fight and prove himself to Shanks, because he's not only an obstacle by being a Yonko, Shanks may in fact have some of the information that he needs, because of course, were it not for the fever and, that Buggy had gotten that Shanks stayed behind, Shanks did go through the travels that went to get the One Piece treasure. So he does know all the places that Luffy is going to have to go in order to get this wonderful prize. And now that it seems that Luffy and his crew may have the real opportunity to leave Wano and go on with their journey, Shanks may be waiting in one of those places so that he can finally meet and talk to Luffy face to face and see how much stronger Luffy has gotten in all this time they've been apart. Thinking back, there was a scene that after Luffy had faced Big Mom and escaped Toddleland, Shanks said that the time was very, very soon where they were gonna meet. So there's a big possibility that Shanks is gonna be one of the next people we meet in this next arc following Wano. Because not only have the two of them been waiting to meet for a long time, I mean, especially Luffy, who is really anxious to see his old friend because Shanks is really his mentor and his idol and somebody that he's been chasing after. But also us fans, because we've been waiting since the very beginning of the story to find out what Shanks has been up to and who Shanks really is. And because Shanks has been somebody that Luffy has chased after, I mean, he wanted to join Shanks's crew and become a pirate since the very beginning. But Shanks has denied Luffy's request because he was still a little boy and didn't have the experience. And also, he wanted to see how badly Luffy would want to become a pirate on his own, so that Luffy would have that motivation to train even more. But of course, this denial led us to the very significant scene where we saw Shanks and his crew drinking, having a good time at the bar, where Higema and his bandits arrived and tried to make a huge mess inside of it. But at every moment, Shanks just tried to act peacefully so that Higema wouldn't cause any further troubles for the owner or anybody else in the bar. But it's also in this same very pivotal moment, once Higema gets tired and decides to leave, calling Shanks just a weak pirate, that Shanks and his crewmates start to laugh, but at the same time discover in a panic that Luffy had just eaten the Gomu Gomu no Mi. And as we saw in that same scene, Shanks was really angry with Luffy for eating the devil fruit that he had gotten. But it wasn't exactly that Shanks was worried about him eating the fruit. It was because Luffy had lost the ability to swim, and this left Luffy kind of scared. But Luffy, instead of staying scared, decides to get revenge for what Higema did to Shanks. So Luffy goes after him to defeat him, but he's instead captured by Higema and used as a hostage. So Shanks and his crew go as fast as they can to save Luffy. Initially, Shanks is able to take control of the situation, but of course, Higema in this scene manages to escape with Luffy in a boat, and without any choice, choice, Shanks jumps in the water and goes towards the boat to save Luffy. And as Shanks succeeds and approaches Luffy, at the very same time we see the Sea King come up and try to eat Luffy. But Shanks instead uses his arm as a shield so that Luffy is not taken down by this great sea creature. Just after that pivotal moment, we're also introduced to haki, although we don't learn about it for many more chapters in the future. But Shanks uses his haki to scare away the Sea King from bothering him. And then we see, of course, this amazing scene where Luffy is crying because he had just caused Shanks to lose his arm. But Shanks, smiling, shows no regrets because he thought it was a worthy sacrifice. Not long after this incident, we see Shanks and his crew starting to prepare to leave the village. Seeing that Luffy was indeed worthy of joining his crew, Shanks did invite him to join to be a real pirate. But as an interesting twist, Luffy rejects this proposal because he was no longer his goal, and he tells him that he would become a pirate on his own, that he would get his own crew to rival Shanks, and he would find the One Piece treasure. Seeing just how serious Luffy was about his decision, Shanks instead gave Luffy his straw hat and told him to give it back to him as soon as he became a great pirate. Now this, of course, again causes Luffy to start crying with emotion because it was the first time that Shanks recognized him as a pirate. So we see in these scenes that Shanks has a great affection for Luffy, and that he also has great expectations for Luffy and knows that he will never give up on his dream. So very soon, we're gonna get to see what the real goals of Shanks are and how they involve Luffy. Because once they meet, this may be the thing that starts to catalyze this great battle we know is gonna happen towards the end of this beautiful and wonderful saga. But for now, I'd love to know what you think about it. Do you think Shanks is kind of playing the long game and has known what was gonna happen all along, or at least hoped? Or do you go along with some of the thoughts in the community that Shanks might be the villain, or maybe somebody who is looking to exploit Luffy? Or even still, why do you think Shanks has been playing it this whole way through, and did he have inside information? Because we've also had that idea that Shanks somehow had a relationship back to, say, the God Valley incident, or he might be a celestial dragon or something. Let us know what you think in the comments below. But with all that said, friends, I want to thank you so much for watching the video all the way up to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, why don't you give us a like or hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.